And you want to. This is an opportunity. You can make the playoffs. You can make the postseason. You can have that experience, and you can create a lot of fun for your fans. And because I don't look at the Royals right now as a team that's necessarily on a upward crescendo.
Right.
I think this is a pieced together team this year with some great veteran acquisitions and just enough contributions from other people, many of whom I don't think are the core of a great long-term run. I don't. I mean, I think besides Pasquantino and Bobby Witt Jr., everybody else, you're kind of like, I don't know. I don't know about that guy. I don't know about that guy. I mean, are we really convinced that in 3 years the Royals are going to have been a contender for, this little run, and it's because Michael Garcia and MJ Melendez have been good players for him? I'm a little dubious of that. And then the pitchers they've, purchased and acquired may be done by then.
Yeah,
so take advantage right now.
Help. I agree. When you get to the middle of August and you're in the playoffs, then you'll be disappointed if you don't make the playoffs, or at least have that last couple of games be right down to the wire. Now, things could happen, like if one of these pitchers was hurt or something, or Bobby got hurt, something like that, and you're like, all right, stuff happens.
Right.
But if they stay healthy, even though it's been rough for a couple of these guys pitching-wise against these good teams lately, if you get down here to September, which is just around the corner,
right,
then you feel like you gave something away.
I agree, because if they don't make the playoffs from this point forward, they have to probably play some bad baseball. I mean, I think they have to play significantly losing baseball.
You could play good baseball and lose to some of these teams like Philly and New York and all that stuff. But what you don't want to see, I don't want to see
play losing baseball.
Yeah. I don't mind losing baseball if you play all right. That was a disappointing thing. The first couple games in Minnesota, I just weren't competitive. They just got worked. Bad baseball.
Right.
So you don't see the Lugo trend as being.
Oh, I think there's a lot of things that could go wrong for the Royals. I just think that they're good enough, even as composed right now, to play 500, and I think 500 is going to get the job done, or maybe just a game or two over. The Red Sox, they could have a 4-game lead by the end of the weekend. The Red Sox playing the Orioles on the road. That isn't good.
Already lost to them once.
Well, the good news is with Singer and Lugo, their next start is not going to be against a good team.
No, well, Singer's will be on Sunday. Well, not a good team, better team. At least the team has been playing decent baseball.
It ain't going to
be. And
then
Lugo will go
Philly
against LA. Right.
You have to get Philly.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of things can happen. It's now you're playing the Reds at the wrong time. They've made themselves relevant again.
Hey, they can't complain about playing anyone at any time. They got to play the White Sox when they were throwing pieces away, literally in front of them. And the same thing with Detroit. So they got a little kiss. Now, of course, you'd rather play the White Sox at full strength because they were no good to start with. But still, that was a wonderful week to play those teams.
Is there going to be a point between now and the end of September where we have a decent grasp on what Matt Quatraro's plan is with Chris Bubich? He's thrown 21 pitches since August 6th.
Probably not.
I know he's
probably
coming
not.
off Tom John, but that's
probably not. I would say there's probably some evidence given that he's just not right now.
Well, and also they've had some weird games too, where it's like, no reason to throw him. He's 13-3 or whatever.
I think they planned on using him the Saturday that they crapped away, possibly the day that they lost. That Saturday they lost the lead against Detroit.
Yeah.
That had they held the lead, he might have pitched the ninth. We didn't know at the time that Hunter Harvey was about to go on the shelf, so maybe that was a spot where they planned on using him, but once they lost the lead, decided why do it now.
They don't write this down. It's not like 6, 7, 8, 9 like the 14 or 15 Royals. No. It's different the way they do it.
But there are stops in between HDH and what they've been.
Absolutely.
And I defend it. When they lose those games, I inadvertently get 5 or 6 people. What is Q doing, man? He's terrible with the pen. I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you seen the arms he's got out there? And his game's 10 games over 500. He has one guy who, on occasion, he can count on. I don't think he's been bad with the pen at all. But
sometimes
I think he's gotten some good runs out of pitchers who, in the end of this, MacArthur actually was good for a little bit early in the season, and then Zerpa had about a month stretch where he was like, oh, good, let's get him in the game. He's a shutdown guy. This is great.
He was I used to call him the fireman would come in when
he's been terrible. Besides that,
Yes.
though, actually, you look at that and you're like, well, that was a moment in time, but he kind of rode him at that point in time. So no, I don't have any real malice against the way he's handled the ball. I think the guy's a good manager. I think the Royals are lucky to have him.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, he's predictably boring.
He's boring
he
for
sticks
post-game and all that
up
stuff,
for his
but-
team, and
But he is. This is just not old school managing. This is
no.
a lot
But
of
I
it's
think he's
done
got
with
with what he's got,
spreadsheets and all that.
with what he's got. I still think the ninth inning is important, and I think that I think if I were him, I would just say Urseg's going to close, and let's live with.
forget who's up, because he clearly has been a where are we in the order
right
guy.
He pitched at the top of the seventh the other day, and
against 1, 2, 3, 4, and
It's probably
like,
a little early.
I think just the ninth inning's different.
He
it
has
is
also shown it doesn't seem like he needs a clean inning either. I mean, he's come in.
No, he just looks right now like a weapon, and it's close enough to the end of the season that this weapon could not misfire before the year's over.
That is the new stuff, though. The leverage moves were around the game.
I generally like it, but I like it if you have
More
like
than
a
one
multiple guys.
like a second guy who is, you're not just holding your breath if he's going to try. The Royals don't have. That's the point. They don't have another guy who's sort of a closer B that you'd feel okay with if the closer can't go because he's pitched 3 days in a row, whatever.
Well, that'll be.
They don't have an eighth inning guy
if
per
Harvey
se.
gets back and he's healthy, and Kurtis mentions Bubic. They have a chance if things go right to look way different at the end of games than they looked in May or June.
And the other part is that you have to concern yourself with is Bobby Witt Jr. going to stay Bobby Witt Jr. hot for the rest of the year?
It seems
he plays
impossible.
he plays all the time. He plays every game. He's a young man, but will he wear down a little bit, or just a matter of averages? I mean, Christian Yelich was just put it in clear focus to me. He's out for the season now. He's going to have back surgery. I mean, he's leading the National League in hitting, and it's 315. I mean, in this day and age, it's hard to hit 345. People don't do it. I mean, he's way above. This year is like one of the worst years for offense since 1968. So,
but the one thing I'll say with him, maybe he cools off. I mean, that stretch of ridiculousness began on June 30th. He went to the plate that night with a slash line of 307, 359, 525, 884. So if he just reverts to what he was before he blew up,
it's still
going to
it's
be
still good.
phenomenal.
But the Royals were only a handful of games over 500 during this entire blistering stretch of his. They needed him.
Yeah.
They needed him to be crazy.
Yeah, well, he's been crazy.
He has.
Danny Klingscale's been crazy as well. He'll continue that coming up next on the program.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Did you experience hail damage last year and never got the work done? Most insurance companies only give you a year to get the roof fixed. And if you don't get it done, you could possibly not be compensated in full for the replacement of your roof. If you've been procrastinating getting that damaged roof taken care of, give us a call at 913-257-5426. And we'll send out an expert to help you through the process. We're never pushy, we're just here to help. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
All right, the good sense. End of the hour answer. I chose this question because I know that the two people I'm sitting in the room with remember this night very well. Royals and Reds in Cincinnati tonight. Reds' first game in Kansas City was June 5th, 1999. What was notable about that game? Todd got this pretty quickly.
Testing Danny's memory.
Was this part of some epic losing streak?
Mm-mm. It was the first game of a Saturday doubleheader that was necessary because the power went out at Kauffman Stadium before the game on Friday.
Friday had to cancel.
I remember we were sitting around waiting in a really uncomfortable. The AC was off. It was getting a little hot, and they're like, "Are they going to bang this game or not?" There's something like that.
Yeah, there's some sort of thing down the line.
I don't really have a vivid memory of that.
Well, I remember that as plain as day. We're like,
well, you were probably hotter. You were probably hotter
sure.
than me.
You probably had three. You know
what game I was? The game that I always was sitting there going, boy, they got to call this thing, aren't they? Was the rain game for the Chiefs with the Seahawks?
Oh, 98.
Yeah, it had this unbelievable. And I'm like,
they have delay, about an hour-long delay.
Oh. Yeah, I think maybe a little longer. I'm like, they got to call this thing, don't they?
Never happier to be in the press box. Although it leaked, too, a little bit.
It was torrents.
I always tell the story.
Sheets even.
I was working, grinding.
I'm
covering
sure you
the game.
were.
And it's just unbelievable scene. You couldn't see anything. This was the old press box, so it wasn't quite as high. If they had that rain and you're on the 9th floor, you wouldn't have been able to see the field, the stadium. So they had a delay.
Actually, one of my biggest memories of that evening was the fact that the game was delayed significantly, like for maybe 90 minutes, I don't know. And I think that, and Bill Grigsby was still working the broadcast then. And I think Bill assumed that the game was going to get banged, too. Because I remember driving home, listening to the post-game show, and Bill had a few. Let's put it this way. Old Griggs had a few.
I went down after the game
what a life.
with my mini disc player, probably. Could have been a cassette deck even in that year. But everyone, just the players were just tired because it was a night game, too. This was not noon game.
Yes.
This was like Monday or Thursday night football.
It was Thursday night.
Thursday night, I think.
So I go down there, and James Hasty was there at his locker, and I went over to him. I said, "Hey, can you chat real quick?" He said, "Yeah." And so he was sitting down. He was exhausted on the stool. And I thought, I'll just go down to a knee to, make it easy and squelch the freaking carpet. I guess they had a foot of water in the locker room. And they went in and they tried to wet dry vac it or whatever because all the water came down. And the locker room had flooded during the game, too. You walked in, you didn't know because you're walking around.
Yeah.
But no, that freaking carpet was soaked. I'm like, oh.
I bet that water,
wet in here.
Thinking about the configuration and everything, water probably just came pouring down the tunnel.
Yeah, absolutely down the tunnel. And then the sewer drains probably couldn't keep up, and it just kind of came up a little bit. Wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So they got all the water out of there.
Well, let's
but it wasn't dry.
what they if it rains like that tomorrow night, they'll call the game.
Oh yeah, they don't care about the preseason games. They'll call those off.
Get a little more.
I'm not sure we've had an NFL regular season game weathered out like that. I mean, like gone. They'll finish it. They'll find a way to finish it.
Yeah, I mean they'll stop games more than they used to.
Oh, absolutely. They used to never stop anything.
College football now, a lot of times they'll do that. So
it's for the safety of everyone.
MUK State in Manhattan a couple years ago. And I was really hoping they would just bang that game.
Be done.
We're
done.
Can we just get them on the bus and get them back to Columbia?
Because if Missouri gets back on the field, there will be a turnover.
They're going to lose.
They turned the ball
just
over
because
they
had an interception on 4 consecutive possessions does not mean they were going to turn the ball over on the 5th one.
Yeah, but they did.
They probably did, though.
I think they had a lot of turnovers in that game. They definitely did. Danny, you will be glued to this one tomorrow, though.
I'll watch it. I mean, I'll watch at least some of it. It's part of what I do. But given in a different world, I got a lot of soccer to watch this weekend. The Premier League's back, so
you haven't even looked up once.
I know I have not.
Game.
I'm this evening.
My gosh! You see that goal?
I'll be rooting hard for Fulham, which is a fun team to watch, and I've got one of the Americans left and came to MLS, but they usually used to have 2. And they still have Anthony Robinson. I'll give a hint to somebody. That's his name, right? The wingback.
Anthony.
Anthony. Yeah.
Anthony.
He's basically he is British, but he can play for the United States, which he does, and he's good. Anyway, if you look up online, this is really fun. Anthony Robinson card trick. I think I've shown you this card trick before. He does this unbelievable card trick that, and it's a story. And you just can't believe, like most magic, you're like, how does this guy do this? And his teammates are all taken aback. So there's a little heads up for you, even if you don't like soccer. Look up Anthony Robinson card trick.
Did you see they had a card trick magician going through the Chiefs locker room up in St. Joseph? They had around the cafeteria. It was on the franchise show, and they had some clips of it. I always love watching magicians, especially around athletes. I mean, they're so good if you're really good with sleight of hand and stuff
Right.
like that. There were some great reactions.
Well,
some people thought this dude was, I mean,